The Galactic Concord assembly was built to make visitors feel small. Its chamber curved upward like the inside of a hollowed star, tier upon tier of floating platforms arranged in widening circles. At the center hovered a single, unadorned dais, reserved for those who did not belong. Light from the nearby blue supergiant filtered through translucent panels, refracting into cold bands of color that washed over the assembled delegates. Commander Elias Rourke stood alone on that central platform. He kept his hands clasped behind his back, posture relaxed, expression neutral. Years of diplomatic service had taught him the value of stillness. Movement invited attention. Silence invited interpretation. Around him, the delegates of the Concord murmured. Some clicked mandibles. Others pulsed bioluminescent patterns of amusement. A few did not bother to hide their expressions at all. "These are the humans?" a tall, insectal figure asked, its voice translated a half-second late. "I was expecting something taller." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Another voice followed, smooth and ancient. "Their ships still rely on layered metal armor. No adaptive hulls. No phase shields. Charming in a way." Rourke did not react. He had already catalogued every speaker, every tone, every subtle shift in posture. Mockery was the opening move. It always was. The Concord had ruled interstellar space for nearly 5 millennia. They did not fear new species. They managed them. A chime echoed through the chamber. The laughter faded, replaced by ritual silence. High Arbitrator XY Thren rose from his elevated platform. XY Thren's species had no true eyes, only a ring of sensory filaments that flexed as he focused on Rourke. His presence carried weight without volume. When he spoke, the chamber listened. "Commander Elias Rourke," XY Thren said, "representative of the Terran polity. Humanity's petitioned voice within this assembly." Rourke inclined his head slightly. "High Arbitrator." XY Thren's filaments stilled. "Humanity was granted provisional membership 83 standard cycles ago. At the time, your species was categorized as technologically emergent, psychologically volatile, and strategically insignificant." A pause. "Much has changed since then." Rourke allowed himself a faint, polite smile. "Progress has a way of doing that." Soft chuckles followed. XY Thren ignored them. "Over the last 12 cycles," the arbitrator continued, "Concord monitoring arrays have recorded irregularities. Human vessels entering restricted regions. Long-range signatures inconsistent with civilian transit. Entire task groups vanishing beyond mapped space." A holographic projection blossomed above the chamber, star charts riddled with red markers. Gaps where data should have been. "Explain," XY Thren said. Rourke studied the projection as though seeing it for the first time. "Exploration carries risks. We lose ships. Sometimes records lag behind reality." "An unsatisfactory answer," XY Thren replied. "Then perhaps the question is flawed." That earned Rourke a few surprised glances. XY Thren tilted his upper carapace a fraction. "Clarify." Rourke lifted his gaze, meeting the arbitrator's sensory focus without challenge. "Under which Concord statute does curiosity constitute a violation?" The chamber stirred. A few delegates exchanged signals. Others leaned forward. XY Thren did not respond immediately. When he did, his tone remained even. "Curiosity becomes a violation when it destabilizes established order." "Order," Rourke repeated quietly. "Or comfort?" A sharper sound cut through the chamber. Displeasure. "You mistake indulgence for permission," XY Thren said. "Humanity was granted access to trade lanes and limited expansion under supervision. Not autonomy." Rourke nodded once. "Of course." That answer, too quick and too calm, unsettled more than defiance would have. XY Thren gestured, and the hologram shifted. Images of human ships appeared, dated, angular, unremarkable by Concord standards. "You rely on chemical propulsion for atmospheric ascent," the arbitrator said. "Kinetic weaponry for ship-to-ship combat. Your defenses are linear. Predictable. Your history is brief and violent. The word violent carried judgment. You are not accused of malice, XY went on. You are accused of recklessness. Of building beyond your station. A murmur of agreement followed. Rourke exhaled slowly. With respect, High Arbitrator, humanity's station has never been assigned. We earned every kilometer we occupy. That drew open laughter. A crystalline delegate chimed. Earned? You nearly extinguished yourselves twice before discovering faster-than-light travel. Thrice, Rourke corrected mildly. We learn quickly. The laughter grew louder. XY raised a limb. Silence returned. The Concord will now vote, he said, on the imposition of full military and economic sanctions upon the Terran polity, pending investigation into unauthorized fleet construction. The words landed with deliberate force. Rourke felt it then, a subtle vibration through the platform beneath his boots. Not physical. Informational. A whisper across quantum channels only he could sense. He kept his expression unchanged. Before the vote, Rourke said, May I ask one final question? XY hesitated, then inclined his form. Proceed. Rourke gestured upward, toward the chamber's vast sensor arrays. Are your instruments functioning within nominal parameters? Confusion flickered through the delegates. XY turned slightly, consulting an aide. They are. Good, Rourke said. Then you should enjoy this moment. The vote proceeded. Lights flared across the chamber, overwhelmingly red. Sanctions approved. A few delegates applauded. Others radiated satisfaction. XY regarded Rourke with what might have been regret. Humanity will comply, the arbitrator said. Or it will be corrected. Rourke bowed his head. As always, he replied. As he turned to leave, the vibration returned, stronger now. Across the chamber, a junior analyst froze, staring at a private display. Her skin paled. Stars were vanishing from the map. Not exploding. Not collapsing. Simply, going dark. Rourke did not look back. He tapped a control embedded beneath his sleeve and sent a single encrypted pulse, brief, precise, long prepared. Phase 1 confirmed. Behind him, the Galactic Concord celebrated its decision. Ahead of him, humanity stopped waiting. The verdict echoed across human space before the session formally adjourned. Trade gates locked. Financial conduits severed. Navigation privileges suspended. Concord oversight fleets authorized to ensure compliance. The language was clinical, rehearsed, and mercilessly thorough. Within minutes, the Terran polity was no longer a participant in the galactic economy. It was a subject under review. Commander Elias Rourke stood aboard the calm horizon, a diplomatic courier drifting beyond Concord jurisdiction, and watched the confirmations arrive one by one. Each notice appeared, lingered, and vanished as his system archived it. He read none of them twice. Across the inner colonies, the effects were immediate. Cargo convoys stalled at dead gates. Medical shipments rerouted into limbo. Communication lag spread like frost as priority bandwidth vanished. On frontier worlds, warning beacons activated for the first time in a generation. No alarms. Just quiet, procedural signals advising restraint. Humanity did not panic. That fact alone unsettled more than the sanctions themselves. Rourke entered the secure compartment at the ship's core. The room was small, unadorned, shielded by layers of hardware the Concord would have classified as unnecessary. A single table occupied the center. Figures shimmered into view as the quantum link stabilized. Fleet Admiral Sanaa Iqbal appeared first, her image crisp and steady. Others followed, industrial coordinators, logistics architects, deep space engineers. No uniforms. No insignia. Titles were irrelevant here. They moved faster than projected, Iqbal said. 6 cycles ahead of schedule. Rourke nodded. Acceleration indicates anxiety. Or confidence. Confidence doesn't rush, Rourke replied. Control does. A brief pause followed. Then Iqbal smiled. Phase 1 executed cleanly. No leaks. No escalation. Good, Rourke said. Then they believe we're contained. They believe we're cornered. Another voice added. Occupation fleets are already mobilizing. Rourke leaned back slightly. Let them. Iqbal studied him. You're certain? I'm certain they'll follow doctrine, Rourke said. Inspection first. Presence second. Force last. They'll want us compliant, not destroyed. And if they change their minds? Then they'll learn why we planned for that. The channel shifted. A new feed opened, long-range telemetry from the Concorde mobilization yards. Dozens of warships detached from their moorings, elegant and lethal, optimized for dominance against lesser powers. Their trajectories formed a slow, deliberate arc toward human-controlled space. Stage 2? Iqbal asked. Not yet, Rourke said. Silence holds. The meeting concluded without ceremony. One by one, the projections faded until Rourke was alone again. He exhaled, slow and measured. The calm horizon altered course, slipping into a narrow transit corridor unregistered on any public chart. As the ship jumped, Rourke removed the diplomatic insignia from his jacket and set it aside. Beneath it, the uniform was unmarked, functional, familiar. Hours later, the ship emerged near a relay station that officially did not exist. From the outside, the station appeared derelict. Power levels were minimal. No traffic beacons. No visible defenses. Concorde scouts had passed it by centuries ago, dismissing it as debris from a forgotten war. Inside, it was alive. Rourke stepped onto the deck and felt the hum beneath his boots, constant, patient. Personnel moved with purpose, exchanging quiet updates, eyes focused, voices low. There was tension here, but it was discipline, contained. A young officer approached, crisp despite the fatigue etched into her posture. Sir? Strategic Command is standing by. Rourke returned her nod. Any civilian disruptions? Minimal. Colonial governors report compliance with continuity protocols. No unrest. Good, he said. Keep it that way. He entered the command sphere at the station's heart. The space opened around him, projections forming a layered map of human territory, sparse, understated, deliberately incomplete. Beyond the borders lay darkness. Not empty. Simply unadvertised. Report, Rourke said. A technician spoke. Concorde fleets will reach the outer systems within 48 hours. They're broadcasting inspection notices. Are we responding? No, sir. Rourke's gaze remained fixed on the map. Correct. A flicker appeared at the edge of the projection, an anomaly flag, then another. Each marked a region where Concorde sensors began to degrade. Navigation drifted. Signal clarity dipped. Visibility suppression holding, the technician said. They'll assume environmental interference. Let them, Rourke replied. He turned as Iqbal entered the sphere in person, her expression unreadable. They're celebrating, she said. Publicly. HFY Sci-Fi addressed the assembly again. Framed the sanctions as a mercy. Rourke almost smiled. Do they know? She asked quietly. No, he said. And they won't. Not yet. Iqbal folded her arms. Our people are asking how long this lasts. As long as it needs to, Rourke said. We built this to endure pressure, not applause. She studied him. You're certain restraint won't be mistaken for surrender? Rourke met her eyes. It already has been. That's the advantage. An alert chimed. A Concorde fleet crossed into the first human-controlled system. Their formation was textbook, orderly, assertive, confident. They transmitted inspection demands on all channels. No reply came. Minutes passed. Then more. The fleet commander requested clarification. Still nothing. What will they do? Iqbal asked. Rourke watched the silent advance. They'll proceed, he said. They always do. He tapped the console once. Authorize Stage 1 continuation, he said. No engagement. No signals. No corrections. The technician hesitated. Sir, if they reach the inner colonies. They won't, Rourke said calmly. Outside the station, the darkness deepened. Concord sensors strained against it, data thinning, stars dimming at the edges of perception. The fleet slowed, formations tightening as uncertainty crept in. For the first time, the Concorde did not understand the battlefield. Rourke straightened, hands clasped behind his back once more. Let them look, he said. We're done explaining ourselves. Across the void, humanity remained silent. And the silence began to weigh. The dead expanse had a reputation. Across the Concorde's vast charts, it was a void, a graveyard of lost expeditions, abandoned stations, and derelict jump gates. No species lingered there willingly, and none dared build beyond temporary observation posts. Humanity had chosen it deliberately. Commander Elias Rourke navigated the calm horizon through the outermost transit corridor, the ship's systems reading ghostly signatures, almost nothing detectable. The darkness was not emptiness, it was concealment. Here, beyond the Concorde's gaze, human ingenuity had thrived unnoticed. He stepped into the command sphere of the relay station, already alive with activity. Engineers moved between holographic consoles, their hands precise, their voices low. Every projection flickered with calculations, orbital patterns, ship construction timelines, resource flows. The scale was staggering. Systems that Concorde scouts dismissed as barren were hubs of production, each one interlinked, autonomous, redundant. Fleet Admiral Sana Iqbal approached him quietly. They'll never find it, she said. Rourke's eyes swept the projection map. They'll never believe it exists, he corrected. That's the advantage. Phase 2? She asked. Almost, Rourke said. We maintain silence. Presence alone will do its work. Their assumptions will collapse before they see a single ship. Eichel raised an eyebrow. And when they do, then they will understand why humanity is not to be underestimated. His voice was steady. Not arrogance. Not threat. Just inevitability. Rourke's gaze moved to the systems labeled Shadow Forge Alpha and Nebula Crucible. Entire star systems had been converted into industrial nodes. Artificial sun-stabilized rotating grids of mining satellites, processing stations, and assembly yards. Ships of every size and purpose were being constructed, repaired, or upgraded. The scale was almost mythic, enough firepower and endurance to survive multiple conflicts with Concorde forces without risk of catastrophic loss. Look here, he said, gesturing to a cluster of projections. Each facility can operate independently for centuries. Supply chains are automated. Raw materials recycled. Any strike against one node merely triggers another. Redundancy is our shield. Eichel's eyes widened. They'll see the fleet and panic. But even we can't predict how they'll react to the infrastructure. Reaction is irrelevant, Rourke replied. We built it to exist, not to provoke. The only requirement is that they do not interfere. Everything else is optional. A technician interrupted, voice sharp. Sir, sensors are picking Concorde fleet movement at the periphery. They've reached the first system. They're scanning, preparing to board. Rourke nodded. Let them scan. The technician hesitated. No response at all? Not a word, Rourke said. Let them wonder what they cannot see. Their assumptions are the cage we've built for them. Outside the station, the void of the dead expanse swallowed the Concorde ships. Sensors failed to resolve the anomalies. Navigational data flickered. Communications lagged. In that emptiness, humanity's presence was ghostly, nearly impossible to confirm. Silence is our first weapon, Rourke said, watching the projection. No sensors, no emissions, no signatures they can trust. Their confidence will erode faster than their fleets can move. Eichel leaned closer. And if they escalate? If they send overwhelming firepower? Rourke's eyes remained fixed on the star map. Then we show them why patience was never wasted. Each node is a citadel, each ship a deterrent. We will endure. We will outlast. And we will emerge unbroken. A soft chime interrupted the quiet. Another relay node lit up on the map. Rourke zoomed in. Autonomous construction drones were deploying a new dreadnought class, starbreaker hulls forming from modular sections, powered by distributed reactors. The ship would dwarf any Concorde vessel, yet it was built for endurance, not aggression. Eichel's voice broke the silence again. Sir, these dreadnoughts, their size alone. Do not mistake scale for threat, Rourke said. We do not act rashly. Presence is enough. Concorde will interpret it as defiance, but it is restraint. That is the lesson. He walked to a console and activated a hidden feed, revealing patterns of communication between the outer colonies. Every civilian node, every logistical station, every deep space observatory operated in harmony. Redundant communication arrays ensured data integrity even if Concorde jammers attempted interference. Human colonies were ready, not for war, but for survival and coordination. A technician approached. Sir, all sectors report readiness. Fleet is awaiting final authorization for Phase Black. Authorization granted, Rourke said. But do not launch. Only show. Let them find the void, let them sense what they cannot touch. Let them feel it. He moved to a window, observing the artificial suns and spinning megastructures beyond. Light reflected off the surfaces of partially assembled ships, glinting in ways no Concorde sensor could fully register. Each structure, each system, was a promise. Humanity was not waiting for permission, nor forgiveness. They think they cornered us, Rourke said quietly. They think we are contained, compliant. That ignorance is our shield. Eichel's expression hardened. And when they realize? Rourke turned, calm and unflinching. Then they will understand that what they mocked as primitive was patience. What they called fragile was endurance. What they dismissed as inconsequential is infinite. He paused, tapping the console. Maps shifted, highlighting jump points, fleet staging zones, and resource nodes across the dead expanse. Every system is prepared. Every fleet is accounted for. They cannot destroy what they cannot find, and they cannot find what does not wish to be found. Sir, the Concorde will detect anomalies eventually, Eichel said. They will. But detection does not equal understanding. Their fear will grow long before they comprehend the magnitude of what humanity has built. Outside, the darkness remained complete. Concorde fleets advanced into the first unclaimed system, scanning, calculating, expecting compliance. Instead, they encountered emptiness, silence, and subtle distortions in space that made targeting difficult, sensor readings unreliable. Rourke returned to the center of the command sphere, hands behind his back. Let them look. Let them measure. Let them question. We do not respond. We do not explain. We exist. A flicker appeared across the projection. Another dreadnought, completed in the orbital yards of a distant system, turned its gaze toward the edges of mapped space. Smaller vessels followed in formation, unseen, untracked, yet coordinated with precision. Rourke spoke softly, almost to himself. Presence alone. Nothing more. The galaxy will learn the value of restraint before they learn the cost of ignorance. Eichel exhaled, her tension easing slightly. It is overwhelming. Rourke allowed a faint smile. Then they will be overwhelmed before they even see us. The room fell silent. Outside, the void held its breath. Humanity waited, not hidden, not fearful, but patient, prepared, and inevitable. And in that silence, the galaxy did not yet know what it had underestimated. The galaxy fell into a stillness it had not known in millennia. The Concorde fleets, confident and precise, crossed the border of human-controlled space expecting compliance. Their sensors scoured empty star systems. Their communications channels demanded response. Protocols, doctrines, standard engagement strategies, all were meaningless here. Systems reported nothing. Stellar maps flickered with distortions. Concorde navigators whispered of anomalies they could not explain. Commander Elias Rourke stood aboard the calm horizon, observing the unfolding uncertainty. His posture was deliberate, hands behind his back. Years of preparation, decades of silent construction, had all led to this precise moment. Humanity did not strike. Humanity did not threaten. Humanity simply existed, and it was enough. Sir, Fleet Admiral Sana Iqbal said, her tone measured, though the edge of awe was unmistakable. They've reached the inner system. They're scanning every colony, every orbital array. Still, nothing. They see no infrastructure, no fleet, nothing. Rourke's gaze swept the map of the dead expanse projected before him. Dozens of star systems pulsed with hidden life. Megastructures, warships, orbital factories, all invisible, untraceable, beyond detection. Let them, he said quietly. Let them see the void. Confusion is more potent than aggression. Outside the station's reinforced observation port, Concorde warships moved in formations of perfect symmetry. Dozens of vessels. Thousands of crew. Every weapon calibrated, every sensor tuned. Yet the emptiness mocked their precision. Stellar energy readings wavered. Communications relays dropped out at random intervals. Navigation arrays returned inconsistent data. They don't understand what's happening, Iqbal murmured. Of course they don't, Rourke replied. They cannot. They never prepared for a species that operates in patience, not panic. An alert chimed. A sensor feed lit up, one by one, human dreadnoughts decloaked across multiple sectors. Not all at once. Staggered, controlled, deliberate. Each ship revealed itself briefly, enough for sensors to record, long enough to project presence, then obscured again behind gravitational manipulations and stealth protocols. Eichel's hand flew to her mouth. Sir, the fleet. Rourke nodded, never taking his eyes off the projection. Presence only. No weapon systems charged. No formations hostile. Just proof. Proof they were wrong to assume weakness. At the edges of map space, younger species on the periphery of the Concorde watched in disbelief. Their own fleets scrambled to confirm reports. Communications networks buzzed with unverified sightings, conflicting signals, sensor distortions. Entire systems previously labeled dead now pulsed with controlled energy, artificial suns stabilizing rotating grids, star forges humming quietly, unseen but unmistakable to the trained eye. The High Arbitrator XY Thren convened an emergency session. His form flexed with agitation as he observed the galactic feeds. Commander Rourke, he demanded, explain the presence of fleets where none existed. Cease this deception. Respond. Rourke's calm voice carried across the subspace channel. High Arbitrator, we do not respond to assumptions. We do not act on your fear. We exist. That is all. A pause stretched across the channel. Then another. Concorde delegates shifted uneasily, realizing for the first time that their calculations, predictions, and doctrines had failed. The gap between expectation and reality widened, leaving a vacuum that no authority could fill. Eichel leaned close to Rourke. They don't know if we'll strike. They can't gauge intent. Good, he said. Intent does not matter. The lesson does. Never underestimate restraint. The human fleet, vast yet invisible in full, began a controlled rotation through strategic points across the dead expanse. Carriers, battleships, swarm escorts, and autonomous drones moved with seamless coordination. Each system revealed a fragment of humanity's true capability, just enough for sensors to pick up, just enough to unnerve. They're retreating, Eichel whispered. The Concorde commanders are calling back their fleets, reorganizing. Rourke allowed a faint nod. Fear is more effective than attack. Let them retreat. Let them hesitate. Every moment they doubt is a victory. In the observation deck, projections of colonies showed civilian activity continuing as normal. Supply chains adapted. Communications rerouted automatically. Deep space facilities operated independently, maintaining the illusion of emptiness while every system hummed with quiet readiness. Humanity was alive, organized, and untouchable. The High Arbitrator's voice rang out again across subspace. Commander Rourke, cease this insolence. Explain your fleet. Explain your systems. Failure to comply will result in escalation. Rourke's reply was deliberate, measured, and final. We built this not to attack, not to dominate. We built it so the galaxy cannot force us to kneel. That is all you need to understand. The Council fell silent. Panic rippled beneath their formalities. For the first time in millennia, the Concord realized its authority was fragile. Their centuries of dominance, their meticulously maintained hierarchy, their doctrine of control, it was meaningless against a species they had mocked as primitive. Outside, the human fleet continued its silent patrol. Starforges, orbital yards, and stealth carriers aligned in patterns the Concord could only observe but not comprehend. Every system, every vessel, every structure existed as a statement: humanity would not bow. Eichel finally exhaled. They understand now. They've underestimated us for centuries. And they won't recover quickly. Rourke's eyes swept the observation screens. Let them learn what patience means. They mocked us. They ignored us. And now, they realize that silence can be more dangerous than any weapon. At the edge of the dead expanse, a smaller Concord scout ventured close, sensors straining against hidden gravitational distortions. It detected a glimpse of a dreadnought, massive beyond design expectations, retreating into shadow. The crew panicked. Reports began to circulate, fleet sizes miscalculated, colonies unaccounted for, technological capabilities underestimated. Rourke said nothing. He did not need to. Presence alone had rewritten the balance of power. The galaxy could no longer assume superiority. Humanity did not need to act. They had acted already. Message to the Concord, he instructed Eichel. Simple. Clear. Unthreatening. Eichel typed quickly, transmitting a single line across every communication channel. We do not seek to rule you. We exist because we refuse to be ruled. The transmission reverberated through the galaxy like a silent shockwave. It carried weight without aggression, conviction without malice. Every observer, from the High Arbitrator to the peripheral fleets, felt the implications. Humanity had not attacked, yet the balance of authority had shifted irrevocably. Rourke turned to Eichel, calm as ever. We are done hiding. She nodded. The galaxy will take a long time to understand. Let them take their time, Rourke said. We've already built forever. Outside, the stars held steady, yet the emptiness of the dead expanse now carried presence.